Hello all. This is going to be a very technical week. I say this because we are going to be focusing on a specific aspect of critical thinking, that is analysis. Analysis having to do with when we're using our thinking, our brains, to see the parts of something. So we'll be working on your ability to see the parts of something. The something to which I am referring is an argument. Some people love this topic because it seems less subjective with more definite answers than the questions, problems, and puzzles of philosophies. Other people, they're not that crazy about this week or this topic. The reason being that it is so technical and narrow in its focus. This week is also going to be intense because everything I want you to apply with respect to argument is covered during this week's learning and assignments. It's a lot. Just keep in mind that you will have learned all that I want you to learn about arguments for the remainder of the semester. So that said, we must learn about the very precise way we will be using argument throughout the semester. The reason being that argument is the primary means by which philosophers present their positions, defend their positions, whether it is in critiquing or disagreeing with others, or presenting and defending the position of others, or in presenting and defending their own positions. Note that I just said argument. Note how I just said argument as we shall be using the term. As we shall be using the term is something that may be used in the context of a disagreement or in presenting an opposing view. But also notice that I stated that we will be using argument to refer to those instances of thinking when people are trying to persuade us of their own view, regardless of what others think. For example, a philosopher might construct an argument to persuade us that somebody else's argument, for example, the existence of God, is rather weak. The one and the same philosopher might also construct an argument to persuade others or us that her own argument for the existence of God is strong, regardless of whether there are others who disagree or agree with him or her. Given that you will read about arguments having to do with reality, remember that is the focus of metaphysics, morality, remember that is the focus of ethics, and knowledge, remember that is the focus of epistemology, it will be well worth our time to see how I, your coach, your companion, and your evaluator will be using the term. Also, given you will have to analyze for a grade your own arguments as well as the arguments of your peers and various philosophers, it is paramount that I clearly and precisely articulate my expectations of how, one, we will define argument in this class, and two, how I want you to visually display the thinking you do to show me the thinking you did with respect to argument analysis. A little bit more stressful. You will most definitely want to get through task 1 through 2 by the deadline for week 3. While I have iterated in personalized coaching videos that you should submit something like only as a last resort, this week is the one exception I make with respect to that iteration. This has to do with 1, the technical load of the week, and 2, the fact that you have only one task, albeit a super long task, for week 4. Some of you may prefer to shift tasks 3 and 4 of week 3 to week 4, given that you only have one task for week 4. But do keep in mind that it is a super long reading. I think it's about 40 to 70 pages, so keep that in mind. And of course, you do get to skip the stuff in the lavender boxes, the peach boxes, and whatnot. All right, so if you do shift 1 or 2 tasks over to week 4, I still recommend, as I did in the personalized coaching videos, that you catch up right away. So if you must or decide that it is better for your brain and learning to shift tasks 3 and or 4 to week 4, make sure that you get those done by Monday or Tuesday so that you do have enough time to get through the reading that is cited for week 4. So go to your course schedule to remember what that's about. Now, the summer schedules, again, are intense, which can make it really hard for a professor to decide how he or she chunks your learning. It is my judgment that some will benefit from doing all of the argument lessons all at once, especially since task 4 of week 3 is where you apply everything. So some of you might prefer to work straight through all of the argument lessons and assignments for week 3 and then immediately apply what you learn to your first graded argument analysis and markup. And I believe the first time you do that, it's only 2%. And then throughout the semester, I start to count that kind of assignment more and more because the assumption is that you're building your competency and doing that kind of thing. That said, it is also my judgment that you need to decide, what is best for you and whether or not you need to shift some of the learning into the following week. It can be very difficult. I struggled with, should I go ahead and put task 3 and 4 in week 4? But what I decided is I would just add this video and make recommendations and let you make the decision. So I want to emphasize, as I have before, that this course often uses adaptive learning in a weekly bundle. Adaptive learning is used for, I'd say, 70% of the task or task elements in here. So you must complete this right here at week 3 task 1A before week 3 task 1B appears. While I don't have adaptive learning deployed within task 1B, you still want to do 1BI before you do 1BI2 and 1BI3. The reason being that this one right here lays the foundation, the conceptual foundation for the work that you're going to be trying to attempt in here or follow along with me in here. Also keep in mind that these 2 modules right here are much longer than any one of the self-taught modules. So give yourself so much time to work through these. This one's probably going to take you about an hour and a half because it has a lot of skill building with a lot of examples, because students tell me they want examples. And I gave you a lot of examples to build your skills because you actually get a grade for applying what you learned. So first I wanted us to work through a lot of examples, and that added about 45 minutes to the module, but it will be well worth it. This module is going to take about, well, not this module, this set of modules will take about an hour and a half or so. This first module right here will take about 45 minutes. And then this again is where we work on lots of examples, applying what we learned, but you also get a grade for showing me that you were working through this. Once you have completed all of week 3 task 1B, you will have access to week 3 task 1C. Remember that you may have to sometimes refresh your browser window for a given task or element of a task to post. And then, of course, after you complete all of this, you will have access to week 3 task 2. This is a lot. It's very intense. Notice that I said you need 6 hours. Now, you will also notice that for week 4, you have only 1 task. It is a really long Learn Smart assignment. It's about 50 pages or so. When you cut out peach text boxes and lavender text boxes and whatnot. While I generally, as I iterated in your personalized coaching videos, do not recommend that you turn things in late, this is the only week where I talk about, hey, you might want to turn in 1 or 2 things after the deadline. But this is my iteration that you not utilize that you not turn things in late is still a general rule. That is still my general recommendation, that you use it only as a last resort. Because this week is so technical, because this week is so intense, this is the one week where I actually say, some of you might want to shift some of this learning, some of the assignments into week 4, given that week 4 consists only of a very long interactive reading assignment. If you choose that, what I recommend is that you definitely get through week 3 task 1A and week 3 task 1B. Definitely get through that. You'll get everything, you'll get really good basics, and then you get 1 additional lesson on arguments that I want you to know about after that. So here are 3 ways to chunk this and maybe shift things. One is to do all of it. If you're the kind of person that you want to get it all out of the way, you've got your 6 hours, and you want to have all of this fresh in your mind before you apply all that you have learned to one of your opinions, then just get this all done. Do not shift anything into week 4. If you feel like you're going to need a break and you're going to go crazy doing all of this stuff at once, then at a minimum, do week 3 task 1A and 1B in their entirety and shift task 1C and task 2 into week 4. Another way to chunk this would be to do all of week 3 task 1A, 1B, and 1C and shift only task 2 into week 4. That said, what I'm still going to encourage you to do is that even if you do shift some of the tasks of this week into this week, even if you do that, my general iteration that you get caught up as soon as possible, I'm still emphasizing that. You still want to make sure that you get caught up by the Monday or Tuesday, that is within 24 to 48 hours after a deadline. Now, if you decide to shift some of this stuff into week 4, I'm still going to give you a 0 on Sunday if you haven't gotten to it, but that's just to make sure that you remember to go back and do it. So if you see zeros for that, they will be removed when I finally go in to manually adjust the 0 to whatever score you actually earn. So keep that in mind as well. It's really hard to decide as a professor, especially in a suppressed semester, how much to put in a given week, and that's why I'm, you know, kind of suggesting that you might want to this one week shift some of the task into a future week. But generally, I still mean what I said about, using the late policy only as a last resort, and of course, I still mean absolutely catching up as soon as possible. I think that is all I'm going to say. I will be providing some further motivation, coaching, and tips to help you get through all of this stuff and the remainder of the semester in other videos in this bundle, so don't miss it.